Hi guys, Aaron Dorr here again, policy advisor with Wyoming Gun Owners. Here today to talk to you guys about the upcoming candidate survey program that WyGo is going to be doing on behalf of our members and gun owners across the state, where we're going to be surveying every one of the candidates running for House or Senate and the governor's office as well, for that matter, before we get to the upcoming primary elections. So guys, what we have here today is our actual candidate survey that we have asked you guys, as you know, by email, by social media, other mechanisms over the last few weeks and months here. What questions do you want us to ask the candidates running for office in Wyoming? Because as we all know, everybody's pro-gun, right, when they run for office. But then, you know, when they get in office, not everybody is as pro-gun as they said they were when they ran for office. And so a candidate survey program where the candidates sign their name on the dotted line and actually put their views on paper, it gives you and I some assurances. Because not that they can't, break a written promise, but it gives you and it gives me the ability to hold them accountable if they do, in fact, break their promises in the future. We all know how hard it was this past session to pass Stand Your Ground law. It should be very, very simple. And it was a major fight. We had a lot of Republicans who, said they were supporting Stand Your Ground law, but they backed bad amendments. They backed efforts to water down the bill. And in some cases, they flat out opposed your gun rights on the floor. These, again, are the Republicans who tell us that they are supporting your gun rights. So we're going to ask them the hard questions that you guys have asked us to ask them on your behalf. I'm going to review what these questions are here today. And guys, you're going to have the ability to download this survey, and you can physically take it to your candidates, whether they're incumbents or challengers. You can physically take it to your candidates and help Wyoming gun owners get this process, accomplished by asking your candidates, will you sign the Wyoming Gun Owners Candidate Survey? And you guys can mail them back into us. You can email them back into us. But you guys help us in this process and fight for our gun rights together. So, without further ado, here are the questions that we're going to be asking the candidates this year in the 2018 pre-primary election gun rights candidate questionnaire. Number one, and I'm going to read kind of the condensed version. The questions can be kind of long. Gun-free zones are falsely sold as a way to stop violent crime. They've been shown to do the exact opposite. Virtually every large mass shooting in the last few years has taken place in these deadly gun-free zones. Parkland, Florida, Sutherland, Texas, Las Vegas, Nevada, Orlando, Florida, and dozens more towns have been victimized in part because good guys were disarmed and unable to fight back. Here's the question. If elected, would you support legislation that repeals so-called gun-free zones in areas where the state legislature has control, knowing that they only benefit armed madmen who are looking to rack up a body count? Would you support that? Sponsor, co-sponsor, or no? That's the answer. We're not taking a generic yes. We want to know, will you sponsor a bill? Will you co-sponsor a bill? Or are you opposed? That's question number one. There's about 8 questions total, I believe. Number two, you've heard a lot about this from WyGo in the recent past, that the red flags orders. Mental health has become a backdoor for gun control by expanding the criteria for voluntary and involuntary mental health commitments, adding more and more Americans to the NCIC prohibited persons list. Here's the important part. Often without due process and full adjudication by a court of law. Once your name is placed on this list, it is virtually impossible to have it removed. In most cases, this is referred to as red flags gun seizure law. If elected, here's the question. Would you oppose red flag orders and similar legislation that would deny a law-abiding Wyoming citizen his gun rights without due process through a court of law and without ever having been adjudicated as defective or convicted of a crime? Again, yes, no. Would you do this? Yes or no? That's the question. Number three. This is the third question in our 2018 candidate survey. Anti-gun organizations, often funded by out-of-state billionaire Michael Bloomberg. Of course, we all saw him pour on the pressure in Cheyenne and across the state, trying to stop our bill last year, have been clamoring for the end of all private party sales in Wyoming and across the country unless you're run through a NCIC check, thereby adding themselves and that firearm to a government database. As we've seen, this bill does nothing to stop crime, but creates a massive registry of firearms owners. If elected, would you oppose universal gun registration legislation that bans private party sales and makes criminals out of Wyoming gun owners who want to pass on family firearms to their children and grandchildren and create a database of gun owners at the exact same time? Yes or no? Would you oppose that? That's number 3. A couple more here. Let's see here. Number 4, in the wake of the Parkland, Florida shooting, this is from February of this year, anti-gun lawmakers, the media, Bloomberg-funded groups that were marching around Cheyenne back, I guess it was in March, have been screaming for a ban on the AR-15 rifle and all their sister rifles, as well as, let's see here, cosmetic features including 30-round magazines, bump stocks, etc. This despite the fact that virtually all semi-automatic firearms function exactly the same way and are used by millions of gun owners for self-defense. Here's the question. If elected, would you oppose legislation banning the manufacture, sale, or possession of semi-automatic firearms and or large capacity magazines, knowing that these restrictions do nothing to stop crime but only serve to harass gun owners? Would you oppose that? Yes or no? Number 5, various states have already passed legislation that would ban all gun rights from American citizens aged 18 to 21. In addition, many states are calling for this to be passed in the upcoming General Assembly. This despite the fact that these Americans can serve in the military, pay taxes, get married, start a family, have careers, and enjoy every other part of being a legal adult. Here's the question. If elected, would you oppose legislation that would leave American citizens between the age of 18 to 20 defenseless and unable to buy a firearm for self-defense? Would you oppose that? Yes or no? Number 6, gun control activists have long desired a mandatory 3-day waiting period before a law-abiding citizen could buy a firearm. I'm going to skip down here. Here's the actual question. If elected, would you oppose any legislation that would place unconstitutional waiting periods on when a law-abiding citizen in Wyoming could purchase a firearm for self-defense? Yes or no? I think we have 2 questions left here. Three questions left. Number 7, in 2011, Wyoming enacted constitutional carry law, which simply says that law-abiding citizens can carry a firearm without having to add their name to a government database or pay hefty fees. Basically, the permit is optional, as you guys know, because WyGo members got this done. If elected, would you oppose any legislation that would repeal Wyoming's hard-won constitutional carry law? Would you oppose it? Number 8. During the 2018 legislative session, Wyoming enacted Stand Your Ground law, which simply allows innocent citizens to defend themselves from violent criminals without having to retreat first. If elected, would you oppose any legislation that would repeal Wyoming's Stand Your Ground law? And last but not least, number 9. In the recent past, multiple cases have come to light where a gun owner has had his permit to carry application denied, in part because of the nebulous definition of prior contact with law enforcement. We're hearing about this more and more from gun owners. That is the justification given for why your permit is denied. This denial is not based solely on criminal convictions, but is often done so based on the opinion of the county sheriff or local chief of police. Further, the chief law enforcement officer is not required to provide the applicant with a written report wherein he documents the reasons for his opinion. As a result, it is virtually impossible for a gun owner to properly appeal this decision with the Department of Criminal Investigations or the court, as they have no idea why their permit was denied in the first place. Here's the question. If elected, would you support legislation that would require any permit denial to be documented in writing, including all input from local law enforcement, so the applicant can make a proper appeal to the DCI, yes or no? This is it, guys. This is the 2018 Wyoming Gun Owners Pre-Primary Candidate Questionnaire. These are the questions that are at play right now in the gun rights debate, both in Wyoming and across the country. These are the questions that your candidates need to answer. If they won't tell you where they stand on these issues, then how can you and I possibly trust them? If they tell you, look, I'm good on guns, but I don't sign surveys, that is a lie, because all these guys sign numerous surveys every cycle. We all know that. So if they're not willing to sign a survey, that should be an alarm. for you and I. And if you guys are if you are in races, whether it's primaries, if one candidate surveys and one candidate does not, and they both claim to be 100% pro-gun, you should know that a candidate who refuses to put their views on paper, that is a big red flag, to pardon the pun on the red flags gun seizure laws. Candidates who will not go on the record are candidates that you and I should be concerned about, because in my experience, over 10 years of fighting for gun rights in Wyoming and in states across the country, a candidate who will not tell us when they're running for office where they stand will usually not be a friend to gun owners once they're safely in office. So guys, again, this survey is able to be printed off by you and taken to your local candidates at candidate forums, at campaign events, at county GOP events. Print it off using the link below. Take it to your candidates and give it to them and say, we want to know where you stand on gun rights on a candidate questionnaire survey. Because even candidates who have been good in the past have been known to wane. There are forces, there are momentums, there are differences at the national level, state level that can make people change their mind. And pressures begin to mount from different places, and people begin to change their views over time. So just because somebody voted yes on a gun bill in the past doesn't give them a pass on this candidate questionnaire form. So again, finally, print this off. Take it to your candidates, take it to campaign events. You can email it to them. Whatever you want to do, get them a copy of this. And if you get them to sign it, simply contact WyGo. You can email it back to us. You can mail it back to us, whatever is convenient for you. But help us help you guys get these candidates on the record. And guys, finally, if you're not yet a member of WyGo, this is what we're doing even now in the off season to fight for gun rights. We need your help to make this happen. We're going to have some pretty contested primary elections coming up here later on this year, and WyGo will be active in these races, educating gun owners and mobilizing gun owners. We can't tell you who to vote for. We're a 501c4, so we're not going to say go vote for this guy. We can give you the facts and tell you who was surveyed, who was not, how they voted before, how they voted against your gun rights, for your gun rights, but it takes money to disseminate these results. If you're not yet a member of WyGo, please, please, please join up using the links below. Join Wyoming gun owners. Be involved in this fight for your gun rights on the ground right here in Wyoming. If you guys want to join as a basic member, it's 10 cents a day. That's it, 10 cents a day to fight for gun rights. If you want to get some swag, if you want to get shirts, if you want to get, lifetime membership plaques, that's all an option. But your basic membership is literally 10 cents a day, $35 for a year. So if you're not yet a member, please join up. And as always, share this video with your friends and family so you all know what's happening in the fight for gun rights across the state here in Wyoming. Thank you very much, you guys. Much more to come in the days ahead. Take care.